Hey everybody, it's me again. This should be the third one I've done for today so far. I haven't heard back from the warehouse lady yet. I tried calling and they said that she was on her lunch and that they were busy today. You know, it's Labor Day, so of course they're going to be slammed. So she said that she would pass on the message to her when she got back from lunch that I had called, and hopefully she'll be able to give me a call back today, but if not, it'll probably be tomorrow. And I said that was fine. But I just wanted to do this quick video to just kind of share with y'all what's on my mind right now, what's been on my mind for a while now. You know, I'm 33 years old. I feel old, much older than that, just from struggles of life and experiences I've had in my journey. But you know, I sit back and I think about life and I think about people. And you know, they say that when we make plans, God laughs. And I think it's true. I mean, not in a bad type of laugh or anything, but you know, I've spent the majority of my life with you know, I have daily goals and aspirations and passions other than music. I always have. I've always been real creative, and I like to design clothes, and I love to clean, and I love to decorate. But I've always been into music. Music has always been above everything, passion-wise, you know. You know, before I gave birth to my daughter Egypt, it was always about music. Even after giving birth to Egypt, you know, music was still a big part of my life. But I'm going somewhere with this, so just hold on. You know, my dream has always been to be a big star, a big performer, and travel the world and meet all kinds of people and see all the beautiful places in this world. And I've always, it was such a dream. The dream was so consuming that it felt like it was acid eating me on the inside. Like I fiend for the fame. I fiend for the fame. Not so much. I fiend to want to tell my story through music. And the only way I saw my dream becoming a reality is if I were famous. Because with that dream came the dream of wanting to travel. The dream of wanting to, you know, go on adventures and meet people from places, you know, up in the Himalayan mountains, or, you know, tribes in Africa, you know, just travel the world and meet all kinds of people. And, you know, it takes a lot of money to do that. And I didn't grow up in a wealthy family. My mother did the best she could, and she did a very good job raising me and my two sisters by herself as a single parent with barely any child support. So with that said, I've always been wise, and I've always been very I've always just been wise, you know. I've always been a big researcher, and wanted to know the reason why for things, and wanted to know, you know, the reason why this artist made it, the reason why this artist is where they are. You know, as far as in mainstream music, you know, Immortal Technique. You know, you gotta have respect for Immortal Technique. I don't care if you like him or not, but you know, he chose not to. Let me fix this. Like, he chose not to basically sell his soul. He chose not to sign to these major record labels that he knew was going to make him sell his soul and take him down a very dark road if he were to have done that. And he knew that, and so he decided to make people aware of what's going on versus becoming a part of the agenda to keep it going. You feel me? So, you know, I educated myself in the behind the scenes aspect of the music industry a lot, and I looked into things and try to figure it out, and why this artist started off this way and now was more dark and sinister, but yet their sales were just plummeting up the roof. You know, I mean, they were just like on the top of the Billboard charts, and it always amazed me what's there that maybe we're not getting or I'm missing. And so I always did my research on that, and even when I was in the church, I did R&B before I went into the church, and you know, had gotten saved, and this is back then, and then when I left the church, I went into hip hop, still doing R&B, but went into hip hop and started spitting and still singing, but mainly just hip hop. And you know, I noticed that the industry wasn't getting any better from where it was back in, you know, 2003, 2004 when I was doing R&B, and I noticed that it wasn't improving. It was becoming, if anything, more sinister and more disturbing and more evil. And now this was after the church, and when I had left the church and backslid, if you want to call it that, and you know, being and still to this day being a struggling artist trying to make it. You know, I've done a lot of thinking, and I've done a lot of soul searching, and really taking a step back. And you know, music is my dream, and I love to perform, and I love to do music. But I'm seriously thinking about changing my lyrical, you know, the lyrical content of my music, because I don't want to be a part of where hip hop is going today. And this is really a big choice for me. It's something I never thought I would do, but I just don't know if I want to be a part of where it's going. And that's been a tough pill to swallow for me, because my whole life, you know, outside of my beautiful daughter, who to me is above music, it's above, you know, she is above everything, is my daughter. But I wanted to go mainstream. I had this huge desire to go mainstream because I knew that it would provide a better life for me and her, financially speaking. I knew I would, you know, by going mainstream and becoming famous, and I would be able to provide, you know, the opportunity for her and I to travel the world, because I would have the money, and I would be able to to travel and take her with me and you know, I'm not stopping music. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying here is I'm beginning to have a change of heart on the lyrical content and the message for which I have been portraying and putting out there in my music since I, you know, started spitting, so to speak. So, you know, there's a lot going on in this world, and you know, people call them conspiracy theorists. You know, people call them, being me, what, you know, oh, she's just one of those fear-mongering people, or she's just a conspiracy theorist, you know, and it's not that. It's just what it really is just trying to, you know, all I'm doing and all half these other people in the world are doing is just trying to find out the truth to what's really going on in America and in today's society. And you know, the signs are inevitable. I mean, the signs are there right in front of our faces. And I think a lot of people they know that the signs are there, but they don't want to acknowledge it because they either don't want to believe that it could really be what it really is, or they believe it could be that, but they don't want to have to deal with it. And you know, I'm finding that, you know, there's just so much going on in this world right now. And, you know, when you sit back and you think about these FEMA camps, when you sit back and you think about famine, when you sit back and you think about diseases, the power grid possibly going out and there being no power, Yellowstone possibly blowing, or you know, the stock market crashing, you know, the dollar crashing and being no longer, you know, you can't even use money anymore at that point. You know, when you do your research in you know, and then you, not to mention, you know, all the war, you know, not the wars, but not to mention what's going on with ISIS and just all of the pain that's all over the world. You know, and then when you hear about the signs in the Bible of things that are going on right now, you know, it really makes you think about your situation and where you are with Christ and where you are with God. And I want to get a cigarette, okay? Hold on. And where you are, you know, just period. And so, you know, it's really, you know, I'm a big researcher. I'm real big on all of this, and you know, let me just light this. Hold on one second, because I really want y'all to hear what I'm saying. Okay, you know, being in this, going back to the music, being in this industry is not an easy thing, and then, you know, once you get to that level of fame and to where you're in demand, you know, even more is expected from you, more sacrifices, and that could be any type of sacrifices, if y'all get my drift. You know, it's just, you get the fame and you get the stardom, and you know, you get the money and the wealth and the power, and you get to travel the world, but is it worth it? You know, is it worth it to have to basically sell your soul just to prove a point? You know, and I'm getting to the point now where it's not like I'm starting to see that, because I've been seeing that. I've just been fighting it, to be honest. But I'm just starting to reconsider, you know, just my lyrical content, and really, you know, all my lyrics are just for lyrical entertainment. That's completely all it's about. It's just to stir up controversy. It's to be controversial. You know, when Eminem came out, as a prime example, he was extremely controversial. There's nothing he would not say, and it took him places. And being a white female who can honestly spit and sing, and has, you know, I may not look pretty now, but I have a very unique look and a very different sound and tone in my voice. I'm aggressive. I'm hard, but I'm soft and I'm gentle too. But with all that said, and I know how to perform. So with all that said, to a major record label, I'm a full package. And if you go back and listen to my lyrics, to them, I'd be all down for the Illuminati. I'd be all down for the New World Order. I'd be all down for whatever I had to do to get to that highest point that I could achieve. Feel what I'm saying? And I'm just starting to see that I don't know if it's where I want to go, lyrically speaking. You know, there's lots of independent artists out here that, you know, they may still struggle, but they make a pretty good living off of their music. You know, they know they would have that had they have taken that route and sold their soul and gone into the industry, that they probably would have made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars more. But to them, you know, it wasn't really about it wasn't about all of the millions, as it was just to be able to be comfortable financially. You know, I know artists that aren't big and they still work a job, but they got a good fan base, because I think in this day and age, with everything that's going on in this world, you know, hope is a beautiful thing. It's to me, it's a beautiful thing. And you know, I don't care how hard of an MC you are or how thugged out you are. You know, hope is what keeps everybody going. And hope is what I believe kept everybody going in the Bible, was hope for something better. And you know, I just feel like right now that, you know, I need to just change the lyrical content of my songs, for my sake and for the sake of my fans. I you know, if you know, right now I can't afford to do any music, as y'all are fully aware of my, you know, situation, and you know, I still want music. You know, music is never going to leave me. It's always been a part of who I am. And I just really want to make people aware about things, you know, and instead of becoming part of the agenda that is, instead of becoming a part of an agenda that no good resides in, I want to be a part of something good, you know, not something that's gonna deter people away from reality or brainwash them into thinking some type of a way about whatever that they really shouldn't, So I've just been doing a lot of thinking, and not just about music, I just, and all I'm saying about music is I just want to change the lyrical content. I don't want to talk about what I've been talking about in my songs. I just want to change the lyrics. I'm still going to be as aggressive. I'm still going to be as passionate. Nothing about me is going to change. It's just going to be the message. Instead of being a part of their agenda, I want to change that. And it's taken a lot for me to get to this point. But I just sit here and I just think, the day that, the time when, you go to high school, you graduate, you go to college, you find a great job, and you get married in your middle to late 20s and live in a nice picket fenced house, and, with a nice picket fence, and get married to a man that's got a very high paying job, and drive nice cars, and he never, he's completely 100% faithful. Y'all's love, you're 100% faithful. Y'all's love is lasts forever, and that American dream is just no longer there, I think, today. Not to say that it doesn't still occur, it doesn't still happen. I mean, I'm sure that it does, but it's dwindling. And it's nobody's fault. I don't think it's the people's fault. I think it's just, it's the economy, and it's this new world order and this agenda. And, there's people I've come across who have master's degrees that today are struggling to find work. I've come across people, I know people who went to graduated high school, went to college, had a nice paying job, then they got married, and their husband made enough money, so they're stay-at-home moms, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's real easy to judge a person based off of what society has instilled in you to believe is where a person should be at a certain time in their life. Does that make any sense? I'm no different than somebody who was in a marriage that didn't work out, and now and she was a stay-at-home mom, let's say, for example. The woman in this world who was a stay-at-home mom and had the perfect life, or if you want to call it perfect, and then one day her husband just wants a divorce and wants out of the marriage, and she's stuck having to go back to work and raise these kids on her own. I'm no different than her. None of us are. Or what about the person, the woman who's in a marriage and it's not working out, and maybe it's abusive, and now she's got kids and she doesn't know what to do. We're no different than her. Not everybody comes from wealth, and not everybody is born into wealth, and not everybody's related to queens. Not everybody's, from what my grandmother said, me and my sisters, we are related to a queen, but I don't know who this queen is. I don't know if it's Queen Elizabeth or what, and I may never find out. But the point that I'm trying to make is that, with the way the economy is, I sit back and throughout life, and I watch these people, I watch people, and, you could be at a stoplight and see some woman in her BMW, and maybe she bought it herself, maybe she did, or it could have been from her husband's money that she got the BMW, and lives in the nice house. It's just, and just because you have these things, does that make you any better than somebody who doesn't? I just sit back and I think about life. No, I didn't think I would. To be honest, I'm 33. I'm still quite young, but I never thought I would be where I am today. I thought I would have been famous by now, up on TV, performing on the BET or VMA Awards. I didn't think I'd be a single parent, struggling, to survive, struggling to make ends meet. I didn't think that, but I wouldn't change having my daughter for anything in this world. Nothing. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And I honestly believe that God has been protecting me from this music industry, from calling me and trying to sign me. Because maybe He knows something that I don't. Or maybe because maybe it's because He knows that I know so much that it would be, not a good thing for me if I were to go that route and become a part of that agenda. So, most people my age that are 33, they're not most, but society wants you to believe that when you're in your 30s, you ought to have been married by that point, or be married. Like I said, live in a house, little fence, have a great job, or be a stay-at-home mom, and then what happens if the unexpected happens? What if your husband gets hurt on the job and he can't work? And what do you do? Or what if my sister has a brain injury. She's a couple years older than me, but she has a brain injury, and she got in a bad wreck back in 2003. I seriously doubt she saw that coming. And she was with a family that specialized in TBI, traumatic brain injuries, and she lived with them for a while, and now she's back at home at my mama's house. And she can't work, really, because of her condition. But the point I'm making is things like this happen. One of a very close person to me, I mentioned him to y'all some vlogs back. His name's Malik Clinton, and that man means so much to me, y'all have no idea. But he got in a bad car wreck. Like, he got hit by an 18-wheeler in his little, I think he had a little Honda car. God spared his life and the people in the car. Thank God for that. But now he can't work. He's got 4 broken ribs. He's having to stay. He's having to lay, in the bed or wherever he's laying, and he's having to take time to heal. And he's a hard worker, but now he can't work. So things like this happen in life, and you got to make the best of it. And one thing I've learned in my life, especially now while I'm going through this situation, and this isn't the only time it's brought, a time like this has brought me close to Christ, to God. I've always had a relationship with God. I was born in the church. My mother worked in the church for a long time, up until I was in high school, I think, and even then, my mother was worked in the church, and we, growing up, I remember going off to Christian camps and youth groups and Vacation Bible School. Everybody knows, I did all those things. Me and my sisters, we did all those things. And I have a lot of great memories from those experiences. But things happen in life. People spend 15, 20 years at a job, the economy goes bad, they get laid off. And now they're back out there trying to find work again to feed, and find money, and make money to be able to feed their kids and feed their family. I'm sure they weren't expecting that, So when you take all of those things into consideration, and then you take a look at the world and the economy in America and other countries, and where everything's heading, it can be very sad and very lonely to think about, and very troubling. And so I think, it's just with all of that, the saying that there's always someone whose situation is worse than yours is true. There's always a situation. There's always someone who's going through a worse situation than you. Hold on. And it doesn't make your situation seem any less, or it's not to make what you're going through it's not to say that what you're going through is any less of a struggle or of a problem, but it's just to put you into perspective. It's just to put you into the truth that things could be a whole lot worse, and in a society where everybody's out for themselves and people are just trying to impress people that they'll 9 out of 10 they'll never see again in their lives, or much less even do any more talking than a hey, how you doing, while you hold open the door for them to walk in a store. I mean, society right now is all about in impressing people and showing off what you got, and I don't judge people by what they have or what they don't have. I judge people by their character. I don't judge people, but if I'm going to judge a person, it's going to be by their character. You feel me? I know people that judge people by what they have. If they have a lot, then I guess that means they're cool, or I guess that means that they're okay people. But none of that goes with you when you leave this earth. None of that, and I'm not trying to preach or anything. I'm just sharing with y'all a lot that's been on my mind, and I know I'm not the only one. Things happen in life, and I think that's even more reason that it's important to have a spiritual grounding, to be able to call upon God, whoever your God may be, just to have that is very important, I think. I know smoking cigarettes aren't good for me, and I honestly don't want to smoke the rest of my life. I actually quit smoking twice. Once was for I can't remember, 3 or 4 years or something like that, but I actually quit for 7 years. I didn't start smoking again. I quit in 2003 and didn't start smoking cigarettes again until I left the church. And then that's when I started smoking again. But then when I found out I was pregnant with Egypt, I quit smoking. And then, being the stress of a single mother, I'm not making excuses or trying to justify. I'm just explaining. I started smoking again, but I know I can quit because I've done it before, and I believe anything you put your mind to, you can achieve. In the Bible it says that that you should not judge people, but that you should pray for a spirit of discernment about a person, and that God provides for His children. God provides for them, and they become and they provide fruit. They provide. They manifest the blessings that God has given them through the purity in their heart and through their good deeds, and it says that in the Bible, I believe that to be true. I don't believe that nobody knows what could happen. One of us, you, whoever, you could go and buy a lottery ticket tomorrow for $1 and win $50 million, and then waste it all in 1 year, or not waste it, have it, and be okay financially. But just because you're okay financially is the point I'm making. Just because you're okay financially doesn't mean that you're okay on the inside. Yeah, having money makes life a lot easier, but it's not a cure-all. It's not the answer to every question you have. It's just a benefit, I guess, if you want to call it that. So, I'm not married. And I do think about that a lot. I think about if I'll ever meet someone for me. Someone that will first have to love my daughter like she was their own. And love me for me and my imperfections and things about me that I'm trying to work on, because none of us are perfect. We're all striving to become better people and make better choices. But I guess the point I'm making is none of us can judge people. None of us can judge. And, so, I guess what I'm saying is when you go to the supermarket again and, you see somebody that, maybe your age, maybe you're 50 or 60 or 70, and you're watching my vlog right now, and you see somebody at a Costco or somewhere, at a grocery store, wherever, and they're an employee, just don't judge. That doesn't mean that they didn't go to college. That doesn't mean that they don't even have a master's degree. They could have a master's. They could have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, and just decided they didn't want to be in that type of field anymore. Wanted something less stressful, or maybe something happened and their wife, God forbid, fell ill, and they, and with the stress of their great paying job and the time it would take away from their wife and their family, they just eventually decided it wasn't worth it anymore. If you see someone, or if you're like me and you're in your 30s or you're in your late 20s, early 30s, or and you see a woman, that looks like she's in her 30s working at Starbucks or something, don't judge. Just don't judge. Maybe the economy is hard. Maybe she can't find a she's having trouble finding a job in her field. Or maybe she went to college, and then when she left college and graduated, decided she didn't have any passion for her field anymore. So she's doing something else, you know? I was in a Starbucks not too long ago, and then I'm going to end this vlog because it's going on 40 minutes, and I'm sorry, but then again, I'm not, because I needed to get this off my chest. But I appreciate you watching it and listening to what I have to say, or, had to say. I was in a Starbucks, and there was this retired vet, and he looked like he had to have been in his 80s or something, and he was with his wife, and they come in there every Friday, or at least when I would go in there every Friday and get my morning cup of coffee, they'd be sitting in the same spot. And anywho, one of his wife's friends, and she was there with them drinking coffee, and one of her friends came in and was talking about how her son's girlfriend, I think the conversation was, so is he still with what's her name, and da-da-da, and she was like, yeah, they're still together, and she said, basically, not verbatim, but basically that she had she was a type of a scientist. She was like a scientist, and I don't know what she did, but she was making really good money, and I'm thinking, I guess her son was in his my age. He was in his 30s, and his girlfriend was in her 30s or something. But anywho, she was like a scientist, and she was making really good money, but she wasn't happy, and she quit her job, and guess what she does now? She does hair. She does hair because she's always had a passion for hair and for styling hair and cutting hair. So, that's all I'm saying. The whole point of this vlog is just, just don't judge. When you're going about your day, and you see people having to take the bus outside waiting for the bus. I take the bus. Just don't judge. Because you don't know a person's situation, Maybe money's tight. Maybe they cut back on hours at that person's job and they do have a car. But to save money, because gas prices keep going up and inflation and everything, they decide that they only want to drive their car on the weekends. So they take the bus during the week, I mean, it's only in the South, and, in the North, people take the subway, they take the train. Nobody cares if you have a car or not. And then you move to some place like where I live, North Carolina, and people see you walking and they think you like an alien from space. A car isn't a necessity, so to speak. A home is. Food is. Water is. Those are necessities. So I guess I'm just trying to say that, And just because somebody doesn't have a car doesn't mean that they're any less of a person, Nowadays, to even get your license, you have to have a car and you have to have car insurance. And if you're a first-time driver, your insurance is going to be skyrocket for at least the first 4 to 5 years until you can prove that you're a good driver, And in this day and age, with the economy the way it is, and with the pay that people are getting, and even, and some people may even be getting paid well, but they've got a lot of responsibilities financially that having a car is not going to help at the time. So they opt to just take the bus, So, I mean, just don't judge people, I'm 33. I dropped out of high school, but I went to a military academy, and I got my GED. I graduated at the top of my class at that military academy. And this wasn't like a military academy for troubled youth. It wasn't nothing like that. You had to interview to get into this military academy. The person had to want to be there. You had to want to get in. This wasn't for no troubled youth type of place. And we went through basic training, and we were at Fort Bragg, and it was a 1-year program, and I graduated.